All right. And I think we're good. So, and Tim Olson's on. So, all right, Tim Olson, high five, man. You made it just in time. We just clicked the record button. So it's all good. It's all good. So, well, first of all, I want to say that I'm excited that you guys are here. Many of you know my story, so I'm not going to, bore you, with details about my story other than just to maybe introduce myself a little bit. I've been doing this for about 6.5 years. All right. And so when you hear of like Team Swarm, and it's grown into a lot of different teams, maybe you're part of Team Sting with Vince or, whatever. I mean, I don't know, there's like 30 different teams underneath my team, which is fine, which is great. That's what you want to happen in the long run. But 6.5 years in, we've ran many of these groups. In fact, we were one of the original teams to ever run little small training groups like this. And I got to tell you, you guys are the ones that I'm excited to work with. Like, it's kind of like, if there's a big funnel of what we do in our business, right? And I want you guys to understand this. Everything's kind of this funnel, right? So you have all of these prospects, these people out there in the world, and you funnel them through, and some of them start with a program, right? And then some of them become coaches, and then some of those coaches go through basics, and some of the basics coaches get to the point where you're at. So you guys are sort of at the bottom of this funnel, and you guys are in something called RAMP, what we call RAMP, which is Rank Advancement Mentorship Program, right? And so I get really excited to work with you guys, and there's a lot of reasons why. One is because you guys have shown the commitment of what it takes for someone who really is going to be in this long term, right? Does that make sense? Like, you guys have come through the part about being customers, you've come through the part about being in basics, you've shown up for meetings, and whether or not you came directly through My Coach Basics. So we have in our team, sort of the structure is we have a lot of different leaders that are running their own teams. Vince Levier is one of them, and he's got a growing team of coaches, and many of you are part of his team, which is great. Tammy's another one who's now building a team. Jen Marshalick is building a team. And so some of these people will filter their coaches up to RAMP, right? So they'll run their own basics and then take their best basics graduates and put them into RAMP. And so sort of they're saying to me is they're saying, Tommy, I'm not going to waste your time with people who haven't done the work. Like, I want to bring my best people to you, and we'll all work together to get them fully up to speed on building a team. But you guys are part of this Rank Advancement Mentorship Program, which is a 6 weeks. So everything that I do is 6 weeks long, right? My basics is 6 weeks. Some coaches run like a 1 month thing, which is fine. But RAMP is 6 weeks. And so you guys have signed up for a 6-week program. There were some people that we turned away, right? We don't take everybody. We try to keep it as small of a group as we can so that we can really focus on helping you guys, because we believe that you deserve the time, that we're going to put into you to get you up to speed. And so I'm excited for you guys because you guys have set some goals. You've hit some goals, right? So all of you have either made Success Club and you're at Emerald status, which means you're not qualifying for free customers. And so you should be fully up to speed, pretty much with challenge groups and challenge packs and the 5-step invite process, right? And maybe learned a few things about using Facebook and all of those things, right? And so what we're hoping to do in the course of this group is to bring it full circle for you on the team building side of the business. Okay. So in basics, you're learning a lot of, getting challengers started and promoting your challenge groups and inviting people to your challenge groups and getting challengers going. And then, and then also, how, maybe best practices on how to hold those people accountable and stay in touch with them. But with RAMP, we really want to get you good at how to prospect for coaches and how to build your coach team. So, I can only go back to my own business and I've spent a lot of time talking to a lot of the top people in the network and other coaches. And there's a difference between the ones that are doing really well and the ones that, have maybe been in it a while and just haven't seemed to get to the point where they feel successful, right? And the ones that are doing really well are the ones that have understood the importance of building a team of coaches, right? Not just out there retailing, but out there building a team of coaches. And that's really what the focus is going to be for 6 weeks. In my own story, I spent the first couple of years, I got the diamond, which was fine, right? A lot of you guys would love to be a diamond coach. And one of your goals for this 6 weeks is going to be to get you to a diamond rank, or at least set up to where you're going to hit a diamond rank. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. But it wasn't until about 2 years in that I started understanding why it was important to build a team, and why building a team was first, building a team of coaches was the best way to help more people, was to do it exponentially through a team of people, right? It started hitting me that if I wanted to help a lot of people, I couldn't help a lot of people just by myself. And so I had lost a lot of weight. And so my primary goal was to help a lot of fat people get not fat, right? Because that's the guy that I was. I was a fat guy that got not fat. And that's what I wanted to do. But I realized that I couldn't go out and fight obesity just on my own. Like, that there had to be a team of people in the fight with me. Does that make sense? And so there was a point about 2 years in where my focus became primarily building a team. And so I started setting goals for myself. Like, I need to find at least, 300 coaches, right? That was kind of one of my goals. So team building needs to be something that's on our mind, but we also need to understand sort of how do we build that team? Why do we build that team? How do we prospect for coaches? And then how do we talk to them about becoming a coach, so that we're not just out there signing up coaches, right? There's a difference between signing up a coach that's a coach by name and signing up a coach who's out there willingly participating in and doing what it is that we do. Does that make sense? Right? And so that's why, we're going to talk to you about the challenge group system. Okay. So I want you to write this down. The challenge group system is a system where we start out with challengers first, and then we learn to upgrade our best challengers to coaches. And this is a way to then begin prospecting for coaches. It's sort of backdooring people in to the idea of becoming a coach. How many of you on this call started out with just a program first? Like, you started out, you got the program, you did the program before you ever became a coach. I was a customer first, okay? Nobody else? Everybody else was a coach first right off the get-go? Okay, so everyone with a hand up actually was a customer first, and then decided after you used the products and program, you learned about coaching, and you said, that might be cool. I'll be a coach, right? Does that make sense? The majority of our network came to us through that method, right? Of becoming a customer first and upgrading to a coach. Once they started using the products and learned they could get paid for recommending it to people, then they decided to become a coach. Okay, so that's the primary way that we're going to teach you in RAMP on how to prospect for your best coaches. We'll also show you sort of maybe some of the people that you might want to prospect for in the other side. But we have to understand this, that there's two ways to earn money as a coach, right? The first way is to retail, which we talked about a lot during Coach Basics, and to get people started. So every time you enroll a new challenger on a challenge pack, you're going to earn money for that. And then, the second way, though, is to build a team of coaches, all right? And by far, in the long run, see, up front, you're going to earn more money by retailing than you do by team building, okay? Team building is a long-term thing. Retail, you get paid right now. That's why people love to retail, right? Because you're going to get paid immediately off of that sale, off of that distribution. Does that make sense? The team building side takes time. The team building side, it may take you a year, 2 years, 3 years of consistent team building before you start seeing income more on the team building than you do on the coaching. So in my first year, if I made $5,000 in my first year, 95% of that came from retail commissions in the first year. But I was also starting to build a team of coaches, okay? Now, if you look 6 years in, 7 years in, if you look at my paycheck, 98% of it comes from team bonus. Does that make sense? Okay. How many of you would like to be in a position where you earn thousands of dollars a week in residual income because of a team? Does that make sense? Right? Does that make sense? Like that's the long term is the team. There's a reason why team builders earn exponentially more money than people who just retail. Okay. And it's pretty simple, is that an army of people can help more people than one person alone can. Right. And so if the company's mission is to go out there and help a lot of people and to fight the trend of obesity and fight the trend of financial struggle in this country, that we're going to need a marching army of people in order to do that. And so you want to begin building your own little marching army of people to join the marching army of people. Does that make sense? All right. So in this 6 weeks, what you're going to find is this. This is an emerald to diamond group. Okay. So the company just unloaded this emerald to diamond group. Okay. We actually were part of the pilot like 8 months ago. So they've been piloting this for 8 or 9 months. All right. So 9 months ago, we did an emerald to diamond pilot. We just call it RAMP. Okay. It's the same system that the company just gave to the network. So the assignments that you get on a daily basis, these aren't Tommy Migrant's assignment. It's not like you're only learning from Tommy Migrant. So these are assignments that were put together by some of the top leaders in the network. Does that make sense? So some of the stuff isn't like my stuff, right? So I'm learning as well a lot of times, all right? But there's going to be a daily assignment. Now, unlike basics, the assignments were all like 5 minutes. Now, some of these assignments are going to be 5 minutes. Some of them are going to take you 30 minutes. Some of them are going to ask you to put a little bit more time in, but you guys are all to a point now where this has become more than just a first step thing for you. Does that make sense? And so, so some of the assignments are going to be a little bit more demanding. Now, listen, I am not a nutcracker. I'm not going to friggin' hunt you down. I'm not going to put a gun to your head. I'm not going to beg you to do the assignments. You're big boys and girls, right? You have busy lives. You also have made a conscious choice in your own mind that Beachbody is definitely part of your life, right? That you want this to be part of who you are, part of what you do, and that you have some of your own personal goals. So listen, if it's not important enough to you, does that make sense? Then who is it going to be important enough to, right? This is your business. You know, I'm not here to babysit people. I don't expect my leaders to babysit people, all right? How many of you do not want to build a team where you feel like you got to babysit all of your coaches, okay? So I would say this, follow my lead. I don't feel like I babysit people. Here's what I do is this. I run with the willing. Write this down. Run with the willing. And here's how I tell who is willing. Okay? Here's how I tell who is willing. Is this. The people showing up. Does that make sense? It's hard to show up for somebody that's unwilling to show up for themselves. Okay? And so that's the first thing. The people showing up. The second thing, the people doing, right? The people doing, the people taking action, the people who are out there doing something with it, okay? Is another way to identify, okay? So you might want to write this down. People show you where they're at by what they do, not by what they say. What they follow through with, not by what they tell you they're going to do, but by what they actually follow through with. So our job isn't to force people into one category or another. Our job is to identify who is who, and then spend our time working with the ones that are willing. It's the same with our challengers. Does that make sense? How many of you have at times felt like you're chasing down these challenge prospects because 17 times they told you they were going to sign up and they never followed through with it, right? And so you're like, I don't know what happened to them. You know, they've told me 16 times. Listen, if you've tried to help them 3 times get through the sign up and they haven't done it, here's the chances are they're just someone who's afraid to tell you no. Right? They don't want to disappoint you. So they tell you they're going to do it. And then they get clustered. I've had one girl tell me for 3 straight years that she's going to be a coach. You know, for 3 straight years, it's always the same story. Well, when tax season comes around, I'll have my tax. I'm like, oh my God, you're joking yourself. You know, like she keeps coming back to me and asking me. I'm like, go sign up with someone else. You're going to waste my time. Right? So run with the willing. Like, so that's the thing. You guys are going to be in charge of the assignments. All right. Does that make sense? Like, it's up to you to do those assignments. Now, listen, you've got me, you've got Vince, you've got Jen Marshall, you've got Tammy Glenn, you've got other leaders that are going to be in the RAMP page. Does that make sense? Giving you feedback, helping you along the way. You have 6 weeks of direct access to us. These are all people who have been building a team. These are all people who have earned money from building a team. These are all people who have been through the same training you're going through. So if and when you feel like you need some feedback or some guidance, the RAMP page is where to go. Okay, does that make sense? The RAMP page. If you want my guidance specifically, tag me in it. Does that make sense? Because there might be a lot of posts in there, and it might get buried or something like that. But use that RAMP page. That's going to be your home for the next 6 weeks. I would say this: let's come together as a team for 6 weeks. Does that make sense? This is our team for the next 6 weeks. So that is our home for the team. It's a small home. There's only 20 of us in there. half of us are leaders and half of us are participants. So the 9 or 10 of you that are actually going through this, you have a rare opportunity to get as much out of this as what you want to get. You guys understand that, okay? But the daily assignments, some of them are going to be 15, 20 minutes. Some of them might just be a short little video. Some of them might take you a little longer, like 30 or 45 minutes, depending on what the activity is they're asking you to do. Does that make sense? Okay. But keep up with that. A little bit done every single day is going to keep you closer to the fire. It's going to keep you moving in the right direction. Okay. So write this down. This isn't about doing everything at once. There's some people who have built this business doing it 24/7 and doing a lot of stuff they don't need to be doing. And then there's people who understand if they just do some things consistently every day, if they just do the activities on the business activity tracker and they just go down that list and go, did I do that today? Did I do that today? Right? It's why the concept of a power hour works, right? So you might want to write that down. Can I find at least an hour a day to do this business? And the best way to do your power hour is to just pull out that business activity tracker and to go down through the list and just do the things that are on the friggin' list. Does that make sense? Did I follow up with somebody today? Did I check my inbox today? Did I post on Facebook today? Let me do those things. Simple activities, right? Simple activities and that you can do every single day are going to be on that BAT. So the BAT is going to be part of this. Right? The BAT is going to be part of this. Now, listen, I'm not someone, I don't track the number every day, but minimally you should have that thing printed out and looking at it on a daily basis. Or you could take the activities and save them on an app on your phone and pull up that activity list. Does that make sense? It's like a little note, a little to-do list for your business. Does that make sense? Right? How many of you know that if you write out a to-do list for things to get done around the house or in your own personal life, that you're more likely to get more achieved, right? The BAT is a to-do list. So you want to make sure that you're following that. You want to make sure that you have that. You want to make sure that you're looking at it and doing those things. So daily assignments and the business activity tracker are going to be part of this program, all right? The calls, the weekly calls, okay? So we're going to have a once-a-week meeting. And typically I'm going to be the guy leading the meeting. Throughout the meeting, though, it's going to be more interactive than what basics was, which means we're going to do some role playing, right? So we're going to have a chance to 5-step each other. We're going to have a chance to learn how to edify and do a 3-way meeting with another coach, or all those things we'll be doing throughout the course of the next 6 weeks. So there's going to be 7 of these calls starting with tonight. This is the first one. And then we have 6 weeks to follow, right? So there's going to be 6 more of these things. Like next week, we're going to do live role play of the 5 steps. How many of you would like to learn first how to identify a great coach prospect, and then 2, how to get coaching in front of them, right? Without feeling icky about it and with knowing exactly what to say. So listen, we're going to show you exactly how to get coaching in front of a prospect and then what to do with that prospect once you get them. If you can master that, here's what I found with most people is this. I want you to write this down. Coaching is a product. Coaching is our best product that we can offer people. Once this clicked with me, that's when I started putting coaching in front of more people. So you know how we put, Power 90 and PIO and 21-Day Fix and Shakeology, you know how we put that in front of people? We need to be putting coaching in front of people, which means we need to be talking about coaching as it's a product. Does that make sense? Just like we would any other product that we have. It hit me when Jeff Hill, who's the national vice president of sales, international vice president of sales, came to a fit club that we had. And at the beginning of our fit club, we would circle up, right? And then we would have somebody share their testimonial on the products. Like someone would say, yeah, I lost 3 pounds this week. And, oh, I'm 40 days into P90X and whatever, right? And then after the meeting, he said, what if you started getting testimonials about coaching? Like, hey, I signed up a challenger and made $50 this week, right? He's like, did you ever think of treating coaching like that too and getting testimonials on coaching? And at the time I hadn't, at the time I was just all fitness, right? And that's when it hit me. And he goes, well, he goes, as a network, we need to understand that coaching is our #1 product and that we need to be offering it to people. that we need to be putting it in front of people. And that's when it clicked with me that I needed to start talking about coaching with more people and giving them the opportunity to say yes or no to coaching. Does that make sense? Okay. So what we want to do is just add on to the challenge group system and teach you guys how to upgrade your best fitness people and your best customers to willing coaches who willingly go out there and do what we do. Okay. So one of the goals for you guys, how many of you would like to get to a diamond coach status, right? You'd like to be a diamond coach. Okay. And that should be on your goal list. Here's what I'm going to say to you is this. It's only going to happen, one, if you focus on making it happen, like if it's truly a goal of yours, right? You're going to become whatever you think about. So if you think about becoming a diamond coach, I promise you that you will become a diamond coach. But there's a difference between a solid diamond coach and a skeleton diamond coach. Okay? I want you to write this down. Solid diamond versus skeleton diamond. Solid diamond versus skeleton diamond. And I'm trying to save you a lot of heartache and pain in the long run. And the only reason I can talk about this is because I've lived through it and I've watched other people live through it, okay? So it's one thing to become a diamond. So there's a diamond chart that you guys are all gonna have, right? And it's in the rant page. So one of your assignments that you're gonna do immediately is take that diamond chart, you're gonna print it out, you're gonna fill it in with whatever you currently have, and then you're also gonna make a list of any prospects, and your job is gonna be to fill in at least one of those circles a week with a name of a new coach that you enrolled. Does that make sense? Okay. Because if you're at least emerald, it takes 8 total coaches that you've personally sponsored to get the diamond. So if you sponsor one a week, that's 6 more coaches. If you're already emerald, that should give you the 8 that you need. Does that make sense? So that's the assumption here. All right. But you're going to print off that diamond chart, and every week you're going to have it filled in. You're going to take a picture of it. You're going to post it to the team. And you've either made progress on moving towards diamond or you haven't, right? Literally all of the diamond coaches, other than Tammy Glam, because she just is a rock star, she just did it on her own. But literally any diamond coach that I personally sponsored, I've had them do this, where they have their physical diamond chart in front of them, and I would keep a copy of it. And as they were doing it, I would fill it in too. Does that make sense? And every time they would fill in a circle, they would take a picture of it and send it to me. So I would do this individually. So I've had 22 lifetime diamonds. Does that make sense? Okay. 22 people that I personally sponsored, not including all the people like Jen Marshlick that maybe I helped get to diamond that I didn't personally sponsor. Does that make sense? Maybe another 30 or 40, I don't know, people. So there's probably, I can't be, maybe 50 people have gotten to diamond using this or a similar method, okay? So that's why I'm having you do that. I'm not having you do this to waste your time. I'm having you do this because it becomes a visual goal, and as you're looking at that diamond chart, you're either making progress towards it or not. And if you're not, then we can say, well, why not? What needs to happen? Does that make sense? Okay? So your diamond chart and your BAT are going to be assignments, but your diamond chart, you're going to want to print that out. Okay, fill it in with any active coaches. Don't count your inactive coaches. Inactive coaches, we're going to do something else with them. How many of you have some inactive coaches, like coaches you signed up and they went inactive, they're still a coach? Okay, we're going to do something called reapproach those people. Okay, and this is something you're going to want to learn to do with both challengers and coaches. So these are people that are seemingly dead in the water. You got to go kick the tree. I call it, you got to go rattle the tree, shake the tree, kick the tree, right? And see if there's anything alive in there. Does that make sense? So it could be challengers that are dead in the water that you're like, I don't have any idea what happened to those people. I haven't heard from them in 3 months, right? This is how you're going to go reapproach them. So write this down. And Jen Marshlick did this, and she went and had like 5 of her inactives, or she approached like 5 or 6 inactives, and like 2 or 3 of them got active, and a couple of them are emerald now, I think. Okay, so here's how you go reapproach inactive people, whether they're inactive coaches or inactive customers, right? Is this. One, you just want to go say hi to them. Hey, just checking in. 2 is, and I'm not quite sure what happened. I'm sorry if I let you down in some way. You want to take ownership of it, and you want to make an apology. Okay? Even if in your mind you're like, that sorry son of a bitch lied to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, just trust me on this. Say hello, reapproach them through a heart of apology, okay? But I thought I'd circle back to you and just see where you stand with this. In fact, I've made a choice to get more active, and I've learned a few things to help people better. Is this something that you're interested in doing? If so, great. If not, no big deal. But I just thought I'd at least ask. Does that make sense? So you're going to disarm and ask. Disarm and ask. Get really used to those two words. Disarm and ask. Maybe it's for you. Maybe it isn't. But I'd at least thought I would ask. I'm not sure what happened. Does that make sense? Sorry if I dropped the ball. But then you got to share your story, the reason you're approaching them. But I'm recently going through some training, and I'm excited about this, and I'm not sure where you stand with it, but I'm here to see if you want to get on board with me. Okay? So you're going to go reapproach some of those inactives. So some of you have been around for a while, and you've got some inactives, and you want to go just see where they're at with it. And listen, you got to be okay. If they're in, you just want to figure out where they're at. That's it. So that you can go move on from there. Does that make sense? That's all you want to do. Figure out where they're at so you can move on from there and go find your new people. Okay? Jen, you did this, right? When you first went through ramp, you did this, right?
I did.
Okay. How'd that go for you? So what was the situation? You had been a coach for a while. You had some coaches. Most of them were inactive, right?
Yep, I had all pretty much inactive coaches because I signed them up as discount coaches. I didn't really know any better in the very beginning. And through RAMP, I went back and I actually reached out to each one of them individually. And I did exactly what you just shared with the group. I apologized. And I said, I know I let you down. And, I'm sorry for that. I've learned a lot already in the past couple of weeks. I'm going through some training. I'm learning about the business. I'd like to invite you to be a part of it and to engage with me and to build your business as well and to help others. That's why you came on board. Mm-hmm. And they were totally open to it. And the cool thing is 2 out of those 3 are Emerald coaches of mine today.
Which is awesome, right? And they went through basics.
It is.
And so the first step you did with them after they said yes was then you just started them like they were brand new, right? Like you did the quick start call, you put them through basics, and now they're Emeralds, right? Does that make sense? Okay.
Yep.
So one of the reasons I want to start out with this talk, guys, is because some of you are a little bit newer and you don't have that situation, but there are some of you that do. Maybe you've been a coach for a while and you've got some inactives. So one of the first things you want to do with your diamond chart is go figure out what's up with the inactives and see if you can rattle some of them loose and breathe life into them. Does that make sense? For someone like me, I need to take my own advice. And I have 450 personally sponsored coaches that I've sponsored over 7 years. Does that make sense? And so a lot of them are inactive. And so from time to time, I'll just go check in with them. And sometimes I can re-engage them and just bring them back to life. Does that make sense? All right. So your diamond chart, that's the first thing, okay, is printing it out, figuring out who you have active so that you know what's alive. You can only count the part that is living. They need to be alive coaches to count. Does that make sense? So if you're not sure if they're living, you better go check and see if they're breathing. That's the whole point here. Does that make sense, right? So go re-engage. It's called re-engagement. And listen, you can use that exact same technique to re-engage challengers. The longer you build a team of coaches, the more opportunity you might have. And listen, if you're someone like Vince or someone like me who has a team, you want to do this at least once every few months. Like once every 3 to 6 months, you want to be going back and just going through that list and going and seeing what's alive in there. Because if you can breathe life into it, you're going to want to do that. All right. So your diamond charts. Now let's get back to this idea of solid diamond versus skeleton diamond. Solid diamond versus skeleton diamond, because I've seen this happen over and over again. Okay. And here's typically what happens is this. Somebody gets obsessed with hitting a rank, like a 5-star diamond or a 10-star diamond, right? And so they're pushing all of their people to get to diamond in a hurry, right? And so it becomes sign up anybody and everybody. I don't give a shit. Tell them to get the discount, whatever. And so they end up signing up, their mom with their uncle and their dog and all of these people who aren't really coaches, but they're like a coach by name because they have a coach account. Does that make sense? And so temporarily they go and they hit Diamond and they have a little bit of fanfare and they get a nice picture put up in the team page of themselves and they're feel good for a moment. But within 6 weeks, 2 months, all of a sudden they're not Diamond anymore because all of these people that they just signed up had no intention of doing it for the long run, had no intention of being in business with them. So here's what I want to ask you. That looks a lot different than going and building a team of willing coaches who will go out and do what we do and spread the word. Does that make sense? That's why I follow the challenge group system. That's why I promote the challenge group system. Is this, you need to think about that. I'm just going to ask you some questions here. Okay. Number one, what do you want your team of coaches to look like? If you had to list the top 3 to 5 characteristics of a good coach that you would love to have in this business, what would those be? Go ahead and write them down. Dependable, hardworking, energetic. What would be the top 3 to 5 things that you would look for in a good coach? Because we need to get a very clear idea of who it is we're looking for. Who do you want to partner with? And you have to understand that when you sponsor a coach on your team, they become a member of your team. And you are the sole craftsman of what that team looks like, the type of people that you bring in, and the reason why you bring them in. Okay? The reason why you bring them in. So typically a skeleton diamond is going to bring people in just so they personally can hit a rank. Right? So the customer doesn't actually want to be a coach, or they have no idea they want to be a coach. But we sponsor them as a coach anyway, because we tell them, well, just go ahead and get the coach account. Because what we want is a coach to get to our rank. Does that make sense? Right? Okay? But it doesn't bode well long term. That's all I'm going to tell you. It doesn't bode well long term. I've seen a lot of people get discouraged. I've seen people build to 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 star using that method, and all of a sudden they go from 7-star down to 1-star, and they're kicking themselves in the pants because they feel like a fraud. Does that make sense? And I don't want you guys to have to feel that way. Versus building a team of coaches who actually want to be a coach. The best way that I have found to find willing coaches is to follow the challenge group system, right? Where we find customers, we get them started, and between 1 and 2 months of them actually doing it, and there's gonna be calls where I will detail with you what to do with those people week after week to stay in touch with them, right? And then how to identify moments to get coaching in front of them, and then how to put it in front of them. All right, we'll do all that. We'll role play it. You guys get really good at that, okay? But typically, the best coaches are going to be customers first, and people who fall in love with the programs are getting results and can see themselves sharing it with other people because they already are. Chances are they're already talking about it, right? And so we can get coaching in front of those people. Customer leads make great coaches because they already said yes to the company. They already said yes to the program, okay? So those are from like the customer first status. Now, there's also people out there who may come in as a willing coach that are already fitness enthusiasts, right? So those are also people. Someone who already loves fitness. Maybe they're already a marathon runner. Maybe they're already a bodybuilder. Maybe they're already someone who works out, maybe not with Beachbody. Maybe there's someone who's already lost a lot of weight, maybe with another company, but maybe that company doesn't have an opportunity for them to help other people and get paid. Does that make sense? Those are people, I call it anyone who's spending time doing what we do but not getting paid for it, right? If they're already spending time talking about health, talking about nutrition, if they're already an advocate of a healthy, fit, active lifestyle, but they're not getting paid for it, and we can show them a chance for them to partner with a company that lets them do that and get paid for it, those people may come in as coaches first and actually do something as a coach. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. I'll give you an example. Maybe Vince remembers this guy. You know, I had a kid, Nate Gonder. He lost like 80 pounds on his own. And he was in need of money. He lost his job. He was in need of money. So I just talked to him. I said, how much time do you spend talking about fitness and stuff? He goes, oh, a lot. I was like, how many people already ask you about losing weight and how you lost weight? And he goes, a lot. And I go, what if I could show you a way to get paid for helping those people? I'd love it. Kid comes in his first month, signs up like 17 people, makes $1,200 in a month, 21 years old, right? You know what I mean? So there was a person, he didn't lose his weight with Beachbody. He lost his weight another way, but he was already living in that world of talking about it. Does that make sense? And so we could match what he's already doing with the chance to make money and partner with us. All right. So, but we're going to talk mostly about the challenge group system, promoting the fitness programs, getting people on board that way, and then learning to identify those moments and those times of when we want to get coaching in front of those people. Because those people, when they sign up, we're going to show you exactly what to say, exactly what to do. You're going to learn that starting next week on these calls. But right now, you need to, here's what I would be thinking about. Who do I have on my list of people that I should be talking to about joining my coach team, right? Chances are there's people. So when I first started, I already had a handful of people around me that had been doing P90X because I had been doing P90X and other people were doing P90X. So I knew there were some people in town that were already doing it. So I just started calling them up and reaching out to them and saying, hey, dude, I'm going to do this Beachbody coach thing. I don't know. I know we can get free customers from the company and you seem to like P90X. Why don't you do this with me? That was my approach. Okay. Why don't you do this with me? It was a direct approach, right? Who do you know that has already been using the programs and the products or has had a history of it who might want to be a coach? Does that make sense? But you'll find when you learn to start people out as customers and learn to upgrade them to coaches, that they'll be more willing. And now you get really good at getting people into basics and getting them to Emerald and getting them focused on Success Club. Because here's the deal. In order to keep a diamond status, you're going to need to get really good at, one, finding people who are willing to be a coach on their own accord because they can actually see themselves doing it, right? And two, getting really good to get those people through the first step of hitting Emerald, making Success Club, promoting their first group. Okay? Write this down. What you do with a new person in the first 30 days makes or breaks the deal. Right? That makes or breaks the deal. How we find the people, how we recruit them. I'm going to tell you, I believe this. I believe it's better for you to go find 2 quality coaches in a month than it is for you to go find 20 people as a discount coach. Okay? That's my personal belief. Okay? That it doesn't take 5,000 people for you to build a team. I've got 3,500 coaches. I personally sponsored 400, so I've sponsored about 10% of my team, right? Okay? But you need to think in terms of total downline. So here's what I want to do. We're going to set some vomit goals. Okay? That's one of the first things we're going to do together is this. We're going to do a little lesson on goal setting tonight. Okay? One of those goals is diamond. So I want you to write this down. When you set a goal, it needs to be a specific goal with a deadline of when to achieve it by. A specific goal with the deadline of when to achieve it by. Part of the reason that we don't make progress in this business is because we don't have a specific number in mind or a deadline by which to achieve it. It's one of the reasons why just making Success Club works. You got to get a specific number of points by the end of the month. So it has those two things. Does that make sense? Okay. The other thing is this, that we set goals that are way too comfortable. Way too comfortable. So we set these comfortable goals that we know we can go easily achieve, and then we go easily achieve them, and we think that's enough. So for the purpose of this group, we're going to do something called vomit goals. Okay? What do I mean by vomit goals? Here's what I mean. I mean this. It's time for us to get really uncomfortable with what we expect from ourselves. A vomit goal is a goal that makes you want to friggin' puke. Like when you say the number, you go, holy shit, I can't believe I said that number. right? It's a vomit goal. Like, oh my God, I think I'm going to get nauseous. I can't believe I said that. Okay. Here's where this concept came from. And I can only tell you this. And listen, I believe this. One of my first mentors, his name was Larry. He told me this business is built and runs. And I believe that to be true. I believe that for a season, you're going to set a vomit goal and then you're going to go out and achieve it. And then you'll probably take a breather and then you're going to set another vomit goal, right? And then you're going to go out and achieve that. And then you're going to take a breather, right? And so Larry always told me this thing is built and runs. Like, you know, you'll go run for 60 days or 90 days. So what I'm asking you to do is get focused on a 6-week run right now. I want you to understand something. We got October, November, December. We got 3 months left in this year. So half of that time you're going to be in ramp. Okay. The work that you do right now is going to pay off in January and February when the New Year's comes around. Right. So the more people that you can get involved right now, the more you're going to be set up to take advantage of the New Year's wave, right? Which means this, the more coaches you have at Emerald getting free customers. So the company's going to get an influx of customers, right? So you're going to want as many coaches at Emerald by the end of the year under you as possible to get some of those customers. You're going to want as many coaches under you to have went through basics. Well, guess what? You go through ramp, there's another round of basics after this, whether I'm running it or another leader's running it. So whoever you recruit in the next 4 to 6 weeks can get through basics before the New Year's. Does that make sense? So now is the time, really, you guys are in a perfect spot to really get focused on this vomit goal. So here's what we're going to set vomit goals up on. Number of Success Club points and number of coaches. Okay? So what do I mean by vomit goal? I believe that there's 3 levels of goals that you can set for yourself. Okay? One is a comfortable goal. A comfortable goal is a goal that like you're doing something, but you could do it like in your sleep. There's no doubt that you could do that, right? So you're not pushing for anything. It's like you're naturally going to get at least that much. Does that make sense? So maybe that whatever that comfortable number is for you. So I've got some people that comfortable number is like 1 coach in a month, right? They know they can get 1 coach in a month, or they know they can get 5 points in a month. Okay, that's the comfortable goal. Comfortable goal means you're not nervous at all. Okay, then there's sort of this medium goal. And this medium goal is one that you go, I'm going to have to work a little bit to get that. Like, I'm pretty sure I can do that, but I'm definitely going to have to up my game a little bit in order to make that happen, right? And then there's this 3rd level goal, which is like a number that makes you nauseous. It's a number that makes you go, oh my God, I want to puke. So let me give you an example. When they first started Success Club 5 years ago, it was 56 months ago, they started Success Club. I didn't know what Success Club was. I wasn't even sure that I could make Success Club, to be honest with you. I wasn't sure that I'd ever put 3 people in a month at that point. And I'd been a coach for a couple years. And so for the first 2 months, I didn't make Success Club. So at first, I just had to get myself to believe I could make Success Club. So I went and made Success Club 5 for a couple months, right? And then I started getting like 7 or 8 points, and I was like 2 points shy of Success Club 10. And I started going, okay, maybe I can get Success Club 10. Well, what happened was 6 months after that, there was a contest. And the contest was this. Anyone who scored in the top 10 Success Club points, Carl Deichler would fly to your house. Right? How many of you would love to have Uncle Carl show up at your door? Knock, 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 right? Here's Uncle Carl off his private jet. And I'm like, listen, I had never been in the top 10 of anything. I was a guy that had lost a lot of weight and was super excited about how many push-ups I could do and the fact that I could see my feet, right? I wasn't a top recruiter at this point, okay? But there was a girl in my hometown that said, oh my God, you're going to make the top 10 and get Carl to come to Bellevue, right? And I was and I looked at her and it knocked the wind out of me. Does that make sense? The idea of making the top 10 in that contest, it left me breathless, right? And I looked at her and I said, well, hell yeah, I am. And I turned around and I almost puked. Like, I literally wanted to vomit. I was like, holy shit, did I just say I'm going to be in the top 10? I wasn't even in the top 10,000 at this point. You guys have to understand this, right? I wasn't in the top 10,000. So I went out that month. And here's what happened in that 1 month. I didn't care what it took. Literally, everybody was a target. Every single person I talked to, because I knew this. If I was going to make the top 10, I was going to have to talk to everybody I knew, everybody I saw, everybody I spoke with. I was just going to have to not care. Hey, you know, and I would tell them the truth. I would tell them, listen, my back's against the wall here. I'm trying to make the top 10 in this company thing. So if you've ever thought about doing like P90 Extra Shakeology, like now's the time to do it. Have you ever thought about doing it? If they said, well, yeah, I'd be like, great, let's get you signed up. That was it. That was my approach. Okay. Don't make this rocket science. I think so many times we're worried about what to say and how to say. Listen, start with the truth. Whatever the story is of why you're approaching people, start with that. Does that make sense? Okay. So literally, and at the time, you got to understand, you got 2 points for a coach. So it was harder to score 2 points. They had to be a coach on Shakeology Home Direct to get 2 points. We didn't get 2 points for a customer on a challenge pack. You got 1 point for that. Does that make sense? So at the time, to score 30 points, man, you signed up a lot of coaches. Is that right? So I finished with, I think, 37 points in the month. And at the time, that was a lot. And I was 8th in the network. And Uncle Carl flew to Bellevue, Ohio. And he did this. But I had to prove to myself that I could do that. And the only way that I ever proved to myself was to bite off more than I could chew and make myself nauseous. And here's my belief is this. You guys are not any different than me. That you guys are equally as capable of setting a vomit goal and going out there and getting after it and making it happen. Now, I can't tell you what that number is, but let's start with Success Club points. Okay, you know, maybe what's your best month? So you know your best month, that would probably be your medium goal, whatever your best month is, right? What about doubling that? How does that make you feel? Take the number of your best month and double it. Are you nauseous? If you're nauseous, that's good. Then that's your goal. You already found it. How you find your goal is to ask yourself that question. Okay? What about the number of coaches? How many of you have been scared to put coaching in front of people? Right? Like you just haven't done it. You haven't asked anybody really to be a coach. Does that make sense? Okay? We need to get you over that fear. Okay? At worst, they're going to say no, and you will have planted a seed. At worst, they're going to say no, and you will have planted a seed. Many of my coaches did not say yes the first time I asked them, but they said yes 6 months later or a year later. So you need to start planting the seed. So your approach with coaches is this. Listen, my back's against the wall. I'm part of this group, and I need to sign up at least 6 new people on my coach team this month. Or my boss is going to fire me. You tell them that. I'm going to fire you if you don't get at least 6, right? And listen, I don't know if this is for you or not, but if you've ever thought about doing something, making extra money from home, helping people with health and fitness, I think you'd be great. Is it something you'd like to talk about? Have you ever considered? Listen, have you ever considered helping other people lose weight? Would you mind getting paid for it? No? Great. Let's talk about it. Okay? Tell them the truth. And let go of whether they say yes or no. Let go of it. Who cares? Not everybody I asked that 1 month said yes. But here's what that did for me. It let me know I was more capable of helping more people than what I had previously given myself credit for. Okay? So you guys are capable of finding more people. Let me ask you a question. If I looked at you and said, look, you've got 6 weeks to sign up 6 coaches. And if you don't get it done, I'm taking your house away. How many of you know without a doubt that you would go find 6 coaches, no matter what it took? That there's no way. See, here's the thing. The reason you haven't done it is because the consequence of not doing it isn't drastic enough. So it becomes optional to you. Does that make sense? Right? Does that make sense? The consequence of not doing it, there is no consequence. The consequence is you have the same life that you currently have, which might not be all that bad, right? The reality is this, your life is way too comfortable right now, which is why you don't go out and do it. So you've got to ask yourself, what is it that you truly want when it comes to this? Why should you do it? Okay, for me, I can tell you this. The reason that I should show people coaching is because I know how much it's changed my life. and I owe it to people to at least get them to say no. I owe it to people. See, here's the thing. It ain't about me getting them to say yes. It's about me putting it in front of them so I know that they at least had the choice. You guys understand that? They at least have the choice. That way I can sleep at night knowing that I didn't fail them by not putting it in front of them. You guys understand that? Okay? So that's the first thing is this. Write this down. Let go of whether people say yes or no. The reason you don't put it in front of them is because you're making assumptions that they're going to say no. Who cares if they say no? Your job isn't to get them to say yes. Your job is to share it with them and let them make a decision. All right? But we're going to set vomit goals. So number of coaches, number of Success Club points. And I would say just, it's September 23rd. I mean, why not just sprint through the end of this month? Right? Why not just sprint through the end of September? Screw it. Where are you at right now for September? How many points and how many coaches do you have? And where will you be at the end of the month? Set your first vomit goal for the next 7 days. How many of you believe that if there was a gun to your head and I said, I'm asking, it's a simple question. If I had a gun to the back of your head and I said, look, you better find one new challenger and one new coach tomorrow, and that clock is ticking. If you don't have somebody signed up by midnight tomorrow night, I'm pulling this trigger. How many of you would go find one challenger and one coach tomorrow? You would, because the consequence, do you see what I'm saying? Is this clicking with you guys? The reason it hasn't happened is because you haven't made it urgent enough. You haven't given yourself a drastic consequence for not doing it. Okay? And when it becomes urgent enough, so we're going to set vomit goals for the 6 weeks, first for the rest of September, and then for the whole 6 weeks. So you're going to share with the team what that goal is, what your goal is. Now, your numbers will be different depending on who you are. But your vomit goal needs to have a number and a deadline, or a rank and a deadline, something tangible and a deadline by which to achieve it. I'll give you an example. Liz Bellini. How many of you have heard the name Liz Bellini, right? Liz is a 2 or 3 star diamond coach in our org, right? She's done great. She's always at the top producer list for retail and Success Club points and all that stuff. When Liz was a coach, when Liz was you, okay, it was like February. I'll never forget this. It was like February. So Liz says to me, I said, so Liz, when are you going to be a diamond coach? And she goes, well, by Christmas. And I went, oh, shit, come on. No, I gave her the, oh, shit, no. Like, Christmas, you're going to give yourself 10 months to get 8 coaches? I said, no. Okay, what is it? I'm like, it's February 10th. So February, March. By the end of March, you'll be diamond by April 1st. April Fool's Day, that's your goal date. And she looked at me like, oh. And I said, look, you're gonna get there by April 1st, or you're not gonna talk to me anymore. Right? And that's what I did with her. And guess what? March 28th, she became a diamond coach. In her own mind, see, here's the thing. Oftentimes, we give ourselves a deadline that's so far out that it doesn't create a sense of urgency. Does that make sense? It's so far out there that it gives us room to procrastinate on the dream. It gives us room to procrastinate on the goal. Okay? So if you speed it up, if you up the volume and speed up the deadline, and it makes you nervous, you're more likely to take action. That's the whole point of what we're talking about here, is this. So that's why we're using ramp, the 6 weeks of ramp. You've got 6 weeks to go get the diamond. 6 weeks. 6 weeks. And for some of you, that makes you very uncomfortable. But I promise you this, a dream with a deadline becomes reality. Okay? A dream with the deadline becomes reality. So that's the goal setting, right? But I don't want you to do it with crap people. See, there's the trick. I don't want you to do it with crap people. Talking with willing coaches. So maybe you need to go find an influx of challengers first and get 10 people started on 21-day fix and then do a great job with those challengers so that after the first 3 weeks, you can flip a few of them into coaches. See, that's why a program like 21-day fix works great is it doesn't take very long to turn a 21-day fixer into a coach because they finish the program in 3 weeks, right? They get the results in 3 weeks, and then you can put coaching in front of them before they start their second round. Everybody understand that? So with that said, daily assignments, weekly calls, your personal development for the group is going to be John Maxwell's Failing Forward. Okay, Failing Forward is the first one, and then his second one is called 21 Laws of Leadership. Okay, if you're going to be building teams, you're going to need to get better at leadership. John Maxwell is great on leadership. I love John Maxwell, and I would do it that way. All right. The business activity tracker, and then the diamond chart. So tonight, what you're going to do is this. You're going to put your vomit goals together. You're going to share those with the team. You're also going to fill out your diamond chart within the next 24 hours. So by tomorrow night at this time, you will post a picture of your diamond chart. You can hand draw it out. You can print it out and fill it in. You can do it on computer. I don't care how it's done, okay? Whatever you prefer. But you need to have your physical diamond chart. And that physical diamond chart needs to be your friend for the next 6 weeks, which means it needs to be with you. It needs to be near you. You need to be looking at it. I'd be looking at it every day. And I'd be thinking about who can I get to fill in one of these circles? Who can I get? Who have I not talked to about coaching yet? Next week when we get on this call, what we're going to do is role play the 5 steps. How to 5-step somebody on coaching, okay? And so you can get a head start. Here's another assignment that I'm going to give you is this. You need to preview the 5 steps on coaching, how to 5-step for a coach in the Coach Training Academy. So there's a training video in there. It's about 10 minutes of videos, guys, which means that you could watch it at least once, if not 10 times. Right? But I would preview that video because that's what we're going to be doing together next week on this call. We're going to be practicing 5-stepping together. Does that make sense? We're going to role play it. All right. So preview that in the Coach Training Academy under invite. It's 5-stepping for a coach. And then we'll talk about that next week and we'll role play that next week. So with that said, set your goals, print out your diamond chart, get your John Maxwell book. I appreciate you being here. That's it for tonight. I'm looking forward to working with you guys. We'll see you in the rant page. Peace out.